Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another webinar by LeadCorp Human Solutions. At LeadCorp, we specialize in providing training, coaching, and consulting services for organizations and individuals. I am Kamaruddin KP, a corporate outbound trainer and columnist, and I am delighted to be your host today's session. And this is the ninth webinar in our series. If you missed our previous sessions, the recordings are available on YouTube. And today's topic is building a creative organization. That's the topic. This webinar will be led by Vineeth Vinnie, a human skill coach and accomplished author. He conducts impactful training and coaching services, and his books are available on Amazon. In today's session, he will share some actionable strategies to transfer creativity within you and your organization. So, without further ado, I warmly welcome all of you to this webinar from different parts of the different places, and I welcome all of you to this webinar and invite Vineeth Vinnie to take over. Over to you, Vineeth.
Thank you so much, Kauru, for the warm welcome. And I welcome you all as well. So, how to build a creative organization? That's what we are discussing today, right? So, what stops you from being creative? If you're an employee, if you are part of an organization, what stops you from being creative?
Yeah, one thing maybe from the employee perspective, maybe the employer does not know how to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Maybe they are
and they
unaware.
should listen to us. Yes.
Yeah.
They should. The employer or the boss should listen to the employee.
Yeah. Just a second.
Then he can share the creative ideas, any ideas he has. If nobody is listening to us, our creativity. If we have creative ideas, we can't express that.
Yeah. Thank you, Salih.
Yeah.
But just a second. I think Kala hasn't finished.
Yeah, what I'm meant to say is that when they are unaware, they're not able to know how to be creative, what they should do in order to be creative.
Yeah.
Maybe they have that mind block or the setbacks or whatever. So that may be a barrier for them in order to be creative. Maybe for some.
Right. Thank you, Kala. And Swali said the leaders should listen to the employees.
Yeah, sometimes may not be open to new ideas, or if somebody share a new concept, new idea, some innovative thought, sometimes authority might not be listening to them.
Right. Yeah. So none of us said that leaders should just tell people to be creative, right? And that's the point. An organization can't just get creative by the leadership just telling the employees to be creative, because people can't just get creative like that. Creativity thrives only in an environment where it is appreciated, where it is supported, where it is the norm, where it is part of the core values, and where it is the culture. Yeah. So I had shared a video. The video was of the company IDEO, IDEO redesigning the common item of a shopping cart. A shopping cart is something that you can see if you go to any supermarket. This is a video from around some 15, 20 years back. And IDEO is one of the world's most renowned product designers. They're the ones who designed the mouse for the first Apple computers. They are the ones who designed the toothbrush as we see it now with the kind of handle that it has. So they have designed a lot of products, and it is from a product design session or a product design sprint from IDEO. So what is it about IDEO that makes it a place for creative people? They have some values I'll just share the values that they practice. And value number one is one conversation at a time. So I'll just share it in the chat window. One conversation at a time. Stay focused on topic. Encourage wild ideas. Differ judgment. Build on the ideas of others. So this is something that they practice at IDEO. So if you watch the video, some of you may have already watched it. Those who haven't watched it, you can watch it after the webinar. It's a really important resource that you need to watch if you are interested in organizational culture, creative culture, creative organizations. In the video, you can see them redesigning the shopping cart. So what they do is kind of like a process that you see in a sprint session, a 5-day session where you come up with ideas. You have competing ideas. You finalize one. You design a prototype. You test it. You make the final product. So that kind of a process you can see. And it's what it's what they follow. That's what matters. And early in the video, the founder of IDEO, David Kelly, he speaks about hierarchy in the organization. He speaks about people being stiff in organization, like stiff people. This is also a contract that we set in some of our sessions. Don't be serious, be sincere. So there are people who are really serious all around. If you go to an organization, people who are like really formal, people who are always about following the procedures. I mean, it matters in that kind of an organizational structure. But what you want is a creative place where you come up with innovative ideas. You have to ditch some of that seriousness, some of that stiffness, and make way for chaos and creativity. So in their organization, they don't have the hierarchy as we see in most organizations. People work shoulder to shoulder, and who gets the most status? It's based on how creative you are. It's not based on how senior you are. And in some of their product design sessions, somebody may be leading the product design sessions who's not at all a senior, who may be a junior, who has got like, say, 3 years or 4 years of experience, who may be leading people with 20, 30 years of experience in the organization. So they have one conversation at a time. They work on one topic and with focus, they work on that topic at a time, and they encourage wild ideas. Whatever ideas are there, they just let them come in. And here is something really important, which is also connected. The fourth one is also connected to the third one. That is defer judgment. So in their brainstorming sessions, they use a bell. And if somebody is coming up with an idea, and immediately if someone else opens their mouth in a judgmental way, like to immediately criticize that idea, the guy with the bell, he or she, the person with the bell, they ring the bell. So it is to notify that you should not judge it right away. You should not criticize it right now. The time for that will come later. So defer your judgment, defer criticism. Don't criticize right now. And finally, build on the ideas of others. Right? So in a creative organization, you cannot have the kind of ego that we have in most organizations, where people are concerned about, is this my idea or is this your idea? Whose idea gets implemented? Whose idea gets finalized? What you do is, in a creative organization, what you do is you take the idea somebody else shared and you add to that. You build upon that idea. So this is something that they practice. They also practice something like in the video, David Kelly says, they ask for forgiveness, not for permission. That is also one of their core values. So they don't ask for permission for a lot of things. For example, in the video, you can see at some point a bicycle is being hung from the roof, right? So the TV channel guy asks them, where does this bicycle come from? So David Kelly says, one of their employees wanted their bicycle in the office. So he just hung it on the roof, right? he didn't ask anybody for permission. He just brought it to the office and he just hung it on the roof. And when he goes, maybe he'll remove it and take it home. So what happened? He just hung it. He didn't ask for permission. If somebody does something like that, and if somebody has a problem with that, they'll say it, and then they'll ask for forgiveness. So they don't ask for permission for everything that they do. Maybe they are a bit extreme, comparing it with most organizations that we are part of, but we have something to learn from them, right? So in their organization, they don't ask for permission for everything that they do. They ask for forgiveness for later. So basically, the message is that there is room for mistakes, there is room for failures. So and there is room for experiment. So these are some of the things that make IDEO one of the most creative organizations in the history, in the human history, right? And now you may have heard of the company 3M. 3M.
Yes.
Can you mention? Yeah, can you mention any of their products?
We have that, in the traffic, when we go in the main roads, the highways and all,
Yeah,
that lights,
yeah.
the what do you call that? Um, I'm not
The
getting that.
reflectors,
The reflector.
reflectors.
Yes. That, and
Yeah,
we have a lot of stationary things of 3Ms, products are there. And
yeah,
my brother-in-law also a part of 3M, so I know. So
yeah.
he works
Great,
there.
great. Has he said something about 3M?
Yes, I heard something. He's into automobiles, and a lot of, they deal with a lot of products actually.
Yeah, right. So they have a product range ranging from stationaries to automobile to whatnot. A lot of products, right?
Correct.
So they are also probably the holder of world's largest number of patents. They have tens of thousands of patents on their name, and they have around 60,000 products. That's what I understand. And 30% of their revenue come from the products that they produced in the last 5 years. So they are again one of the major creative organizations in the world, 3M, right? The post-it notes, the sticky notes, right? They are the
Yes.
creators of that. So, so where does the sticky note come from? The sticky notes comes from a project that they run, and that is an employee, a 3M employee can dedicate 15% of the time to build something of their passion, 15% of their time. So this leaves room for a lot of creativity. This leaves room for a lot of passion for each of their employees. So one of the most popular product of 3M, the sticky notes, the post-it notes, that comes from this 15% of time for the personal passion of the employee. Some employee had a personal passion on this, so they developed it. And if you go to the website of 3M, you can see their core values. You can have a look here: curiosity, creativity, collaboration, right? So in this core values itself, they have mentioned this 15% culture. If you are a naturally curious person and like to ask a lot of questions, you will be in good company at 3M. In fact, our employees are so curious that we encourage them to devote 15% of their work time to passion projects that wouldn't fall under their normal job description. What we label 15% culture is actually how the post-it note and other great products were invented. So this is not something that accidentally happens. Organizations don't accidentally get creative. There can a lot of things that can happen accidentally, but creativity is not one of them. Creativity needs, especially for organizational creativity, individuals can, as an individual, as a freelancer, or as an individual, as a creator, you can work individually. Even in the most difficult situations, you can be creative against all the odds, against all tough situations. But for an organization as a whole to be creative, that doesn't happen accidentally. So 3M has creativity, curiosity, and collaboration as their core values. And interestingly, curiosity and creativity are very much connected. And for an organization to be creative, collaboration is also really important, right? So it has to happen by the value design, how you plan how you design your values, how you design your culture, right? So now in organizations, in companies, we have teams, we have people working together, people working in collaboration. This is a different scenario from an individual being creative. There are people with different aspects of creativity. And in a way, this is actually better, because when an individual tries to be creative, some of the components of creativity may be lacking in that individual. But when an organization needs to be or wants to be creative, there is actually better potential, because the different components of creativity, I'll just list it in the chat window, are clarify, ideate, develop, execute. These are the 4 components. So creativity is not just about creative ideas. Usually when we think about creativity, we think about ideas, people coming up with ideas, people coming up with new ideas, new concepts, some idea that didn't exist before. Or somebody else may think of people coming up with innovative products, the actual execution. But creativity is actually a combination of these 4 components: clarify, ideate, develop, execute. So what do you understand when you hear clarify, the first component, the first step to creativity? Any thoughts? Clarify. What do we clarify?
Whatever ideas you have or your thought process you have, you explain it to them or you execute, you say it to them very clearly, clarify, clarify in the sense with clarity and clearly you express it, you say it.
Right. Yeah. So it's about expressing, it's about being clear about what is it that we are going to do. There can be one part, there is one part which is even that has to be done even before we clarify what we are going to do, and that is, what is the problem before us? What is the problem that we are trying to solve? So clarifying the problem is usually the first step. Sometimes people come up with ideas, people come up with solutions, even without good clarity on what is the problem that we are trying to solve. And people fall in love with the solutions. But great problem solvers need to fall in love with the problem and should not get stuck with the solution. And they need to be very clear what exactly is the problem that they are trying to solve. So if it was about the nail clipper or the nail cutter, right? So the problem is that the nails grow long and it is really hard. It's really difficult to cut it with the blade, the razor blade, right? It can hurt you. It can cut your fingers, and it's not as precise. So that is the problem. Now you don't have a product or the idea of a nail clipper, right? So be clear about the problem. Now you have a broader view of what can the solution be. You don't immediately jump at the solution. So you clarify what is the problem. So think about insulation tape. Even before they came up with the insulation tape, they thought about the problem. Think about the sandpaper, right? There was a problem. But because we see a lot of solutions, because we see a lot of products in the world, we somehow think it's all about the solution. But even before somebody came up with the solution, there was a problem. And the original inventor, the original designer, or the company that produced the product, they didn't fall in love with the solution. They fell in love with the problem. So clarifying is where you explain the problem. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? And in the ideation stage, what you do is you come up with a lot of different ideas. It can be competing ideas. Maybe we can solve it by doing this. Maybe we can solve it by doing this. Maybe we can solve it by doing that. So there may be 1, 2, 3, 4 competing solutions. And in the next stage, what you do is you discuss the different aspects of the different competing solutions in processes like a sprint. You go for voting, you go for discussion, you go for voting, and you pick one of the competing solutions and you develop develop it into a prototype. Maybe one or maybe two. Sometimes you divide into teams and you develop two prototypes, right? So that's where you develop it. You may have actually come up with a one-liner idea or a brief idea. Now you develop it into a detailed idea. If it's a physical product, you might think whether we should use aluminum instead of steel, whether you should make it lighter, whether you should make it heavier, whether you should make it small or large, whether you should change the shape. So you go in details into it, right? You develop the idea. And finally, you make the product, you execute it, or you execute the idea. If it's not just about product design, it may be about a marketing campaign. So in the execute stage, you execute. So if it's about a marketing campaign, the step one could be, what is the problem? So maybe your sales is not improving. Your sales of this particular product is not improving, or the sales of this particular product fell by 10% over the last 3 months. So that's a problem. So now you think about the competing ideas, and now you develop one or two of those ideas, and now you execute them, right? So creativity is about going through all these different phases. So if you're a creative organization, you need to have the right mix of people with strengths in all these different areas. People who are good clarifiers, good ideators, good developers, and good executors. And now you can also think why, despite the feeling, despite the sense that I am a creative person, sometimes we are not productive in terms of our creative output. We cannot come up with creative output. Deep inside, we know that we are creative, but we cannot. If you look at the output, it's less. The reason could be that some of these aspects may be weaker in us. Now, you may look at the world and see a lot of problems, but you cannot come up with a lot of competing ideas. So you're a good clarifier, but you cannot ideate a lot. Now, without that phase, there is no point if you are a developer or an executor, right? You're a clarifier, developer, and executor, but ideation is missing. Then there is a gap, right? Or you may be ideating poorly, not great ideas. Now you may pick one of those and develop and execute. 3 areas are strong in you. So one solution can be finding a person who's good at ideating and collaborating with that person. So from my experience, my self-awareness is that I'm good at clarifying. I'm good at looking at the world and finding problems. I'm good at ideating, but my strong areas, these are my strong areas, and develop and execute used to be my weak area. So I worked to strengthen these areas, and I also collaborate with people who are strong in these areas. Right? Even in LeadCorp, we complement each other wherever we have gap. So if I'm not good at ideating, I ask Kamaru for help. If I want to develop a personal project, or if I want to offer one of my courses in LeadCorp, if I can't develop an idea that I came up with, I ask Kamaru for help. And sometimes I have challenge executing ideas, so I ask Kamaru for help. So when he may be good at 2 of them or 3 of them, and if he has some difficulty in some of these areas, he asks for my help. So this sort of collaboration can really be helpful. And it's also useful to develop as an individual. It's also useful if you also develop your weak areas, especially as an individual. Now, it can be frustrating sometimes. If you don't understand each other, it can be frustrating to work with people with different strengths. For example, if you are a developer, if you're good at developing ideas, and your friend or your colleague is an ideator. The ideator may come up with a lot of ideas. Now that can be frustrating for you because the ideator will say, okay, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, a lot of things will come. Now the developer will get frustrated, right? Now you are a developer and as a developer, you are developing ideas and you are going into the depths of it. You are going into every minute details of it. Now the ideator might get frustrated. Why are you going into all such depths? We don't need that much of detail. By nature of by nature of your strength, you are oriented in a particular way, right? And executor, when the developer is, when the developer keeps on developing, the executor gets bored because the executor needs to execute things sooner, right? So all these things, each of these people with either of these strengths, they can get frustrated, they can get bored by a person of a different strength. Now it's also really important to have one more kind of a person. This is a integrator, right? So integrate. So clarify, ideate, develop, execute, and integrate. Integration is also a fifth important aspect. And it's not just about creativity. Integration is important in all other core values. So an integrator is somebody who can bring everyone together and understand all the different perspectives. So when the ideator is frustrated by the developer guy who is going into the details, the integrator can empathize with both people and bring them onto the same platform, right? Or sometimes send them into different rooms and divide and conquer the task, right? So an integrator is also an important part of a creative organization or any kind of organization. Somebody who can understand different nature, people of different nature, people of different strengths, and bring them together for effectiveness or productivity. So now if you bring all these 5 strengths together, clarify, ideate, develop, execute, and integrate, now you will have a creative organization. These are the 5 pillars of creativity. Now with one more note, so we'll dive deep into how exactly you get creative. What exactly is creativity for you as an individual, for you as an employee? We'll dive deep into that in another session where we will see how you can ideate, how you can brainstorm as an individual, and how you can bring all that together as part of your organizational work. So when it comes to an organization, these 5 pillars are required. People of these 5 different strengths are required. Now it needs to be a core value, not just a written core value, but a practicing core value of an organization to be creative. You can't, as an organization's leader as an organization's management, you can't just tell your employees, don't come up with bad, the old boring stuff, come up with something creative and, uh, criticize everything immediately. So what happens is that just gets them disappointed, that gets them lose the trust in the promise that you made regarding creativity. So it has to be a part of their core value, the organization's core value, the organization's culture, like it is in the case of IDEO and 3M. And that is when you become a creative organization. So with that, I would like to conclude the presentation part of today's webinar, Building a Creative Organization. Now the floor is open for discussion and questions. Thank you.
Vineeth,
Yeah.
this is interesting. Then I have one idea that if we draw the graph of these 5 elements like clarify, ideate, develop, execute, integrate, that will be interesting if we draw our own graph, right? Or even our team members' graph, so we can understand the graph in the picture, the represent in picture, and if we collaborate, that will be interesting. That will be just a positioning, something that will be very interesting.
Yeah, that can help. That can be really, that's a wonderful idea, Kamal. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, like this. I hope you can see the whiteboard. Can you see the whiteboard?
Yes, it's yeah.
So
it's loading. It's loading.
okay, yeah.
Yes.
So if you are like, say, this is like the it's on a 10-point scale, right? So you can assess yourself and see, say, I am at 6 marks for ideation, and I am at, say, 7 marks for clarifying and ideation. Second one, ideation, and I am at say 4 marks for developing, and I am at 3 marks for execution. Integration, maybe if you want to add integration here, you can also add that. That may be a bit difficult for you to assess by yourself.
Yes.
So let's keep these 4 pillars. So now you know what is the gap, right? What is the gap for you to become a creative person? This is the major gap. As an executor,
Vineeth,
you have a
I'm sorry. Vineeth, are you showing something? Nothing is visible, no, actually.
Nothing is visible.
Yeah, can you
No.
change to? I think you are on gallery mode. You can slide it. Can you check?
I can see.
For me, it's like preparing your whiteboard experience. Only that is there.
It's because it hasn't loaded there yet. Okay. So, okay, I'll just share that. Here. Now,
Yeah, good.
can I?
Yeah, that's on the chat window. Right.
Can you hear it? See it now? No, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
Nothing is visible actually, Vineeth.
Yeah, it's probably because of your network connection.
Can you see it on the chat window? Now
It's okay. Now we can see.
Now you can see, right? Okay. Kala, can you see it now? Okay, I think she's trying to rejoin.
Yeah. So we also share it out.
Right. So this is the major gap here. So here is clarify, ideate, develop, and execute. So
yeah,
now
I
you
can
know.
see now. Vineeth, I can see now.
Great. Thank you. So now you know what is the biggest gap for you to becoming a creative person. So you know that it's mostly about execution. Here is where you have the most gap. So one solution can be to do something, right? So you look at the world and you find some problems that you can solve, that excites you to solve. If you find a solution to that, you will be happy, you will be proud. You look at the world and find some such problem, and you come up with some ideas, some competing ideas, A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, three ideas. You pick one of these ideas, and now you also know that developing is also a challenging area for you, because you get bored diving into the details, diving deep. That gets you bored. What excites you is coming up with a lot of ideas, new ideas. So that excites you. This part excites you the most. So now you know that here is where you have the most gap. Now you consciously spend some time. You time block. You block 2 hours to pick one of these ideas and use all the research tools. Maybe use ChatGPT, maybe consult experts, maybe draw pictures, draw diagrams. You go into some deep work and you force yourself to spend your time there, because now you know that here is a place where you have gap. And sometimes because here is a gap and that can be contributing to your execution as well. So when you fill some of this gap, maybe some of this gap here will also go away, because now you have better clarity. You have dived deep. You know better, in better detail what to do. You know the steps. And sometimes, if developing is where you have challenge, particularly you can use AI tools to come up with a better developed idea. For example, like we said before, marketing campaign. You want to offer a course and you want to design a 6-step funnel system for the program. So you looked at the world and found a problem. You also have listed 3 solutions, which are 3 of your courses. Now you want to develop one of those courses. Developing that, you can use ChatGPT for that. You can sit down and note down all the points, and you can brainstorm with ChatGPT. Not like you give the name and give 2 line and let ChatGPT create the entire course for you. That is not a great idea, because in the long run, that will be like letting ChatGPT replace you. But you can collaborate with ChatGPT and develop the course, or like we said before, you can use ChatGPT to develop a marketing system, like a 6-step funnel or a sales system, where you have some ideas about marketing, and now you expand one of such idea into a 6-step funnel, and then you put tick. You make a checklist and put tick there by executing each step of it. So wherever you have gap, you spend more time doing it, and you improve that strength. So this can be really useful if you do it for yourself. And if you have a team, you can get your team to do it, and you can allocate the task based on it. And then that will also help you integrate all the employees. A lot of frustration comes from the fact that clarifiers, ideators, developers, and executors, they think differently, and they need different kind of environments sometimes. Yeah, thank you. Right. Yeah. So what is your experience with creativity in the organization? And when based on what you understood today, what can be taken to your life and what can be applied in your workplace? Maybe if you have some colleagues, maybe if you have some partners, employees, team, how can you apply some of these into your workplace? Yes, Wally.
If we have any problem, we should first clarify that problem, or clearly explain that to the people we are working with. The first thing is that one.
Yeah.
Then listen to them, let them come up with some ideas.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, this is also very important as a leader, because as a leader, sometimes what happens is that you go to your team and give them ideas. But if you have a team, the team can sometimes have better ideas, because there are more people and there are more diverse perspectives. So instead of going and telling them what to do, sometimes you have to do it as a leader. But sometimes when the situation permits that, you go to them and discuss. So, my dear colleagues, here is a problem. This is the problem that we are facing. How can we solve it? And in the sprint model, and this is also something that they are using in their design process at IDEO. How might we is an important question in the sprint design process. So how might we solve this problem? So when they are designing the shopping cart, one problem, imagine that one problem is that the shopping cart, for the material that they have planned, the shopping cart is going to be really heavy. The shopping cart is going to be strong, which is a good thing. But the side effect is that the shopping cart is also going to be heavy. So how might we reduce the weight of shopping cart? Now that is a problem. Now, sometimes what happens is that leaders go and tell them, okay, replace this, change this, use this. But you only know one or two things. But in your team, there are 20 people and they may know 40 or 50 things. So instead of directly going and telling them the solution, ask a how might we question. If you have gone to the sprint process, it's specifically mentioned asking the question like this: how might we? Instead of asking, say, how should we or how will we? It's like how might we? So basically, we are thinking about possibilities. What are the possibilities? And you put everything down. You bring everything down, and you pick one. Yeah, Solik, thank you for sharing that. Kala, Preeti, would you like to share something?
Yeah, could you hear me, Vineeth?
Yeah, it's clear. You're audible.
Yeah. Yeah, what I feel is that we should never be judgmental, whatever the team members are talking, we should allow
Yeah.
them to speak or express their ideas or thoughts rather than snubbing them and, discouraging them not to talk, whatever. That is one main aspect of a leader, allowing other people to express their ideas or views. Taking it or not, that is a secondary, allowing people to talk, there you
Yeah,
become a
that's
little
true.
bit, there you try to be like an assertive communicator rather than
Yeah.
being a little bit passive or a aggressive kind of a person. You try to be a little diplomatic over there.
Yes. Thank you, Kala. That's really, really important.
Thanks.
And we'll discuss one important strategy, rather than a strategy, an approach of how you can be open to ideas. Uh, it's just part of our culture, or just part of some of the or most of the cultures in the world, for people to uh, say or see what is wrong with somebody has shared, what's wrong with somebody said, and to criticize it immediately. And that is why exactly this IDEO, they have made it one of their important values for design process. For fourth values, defer judgment. And in their design process, like we said before, they use a bell. If somebody is judging immediately when somebody shares an idea, if somebody else is judging or somebody else is immediately criticizing, they ring the bell. So ting, you hear ting and you remember, oh, I'm criticizing. So you stop. So criticism is punished. And what is being punished in an organization and what is being rewarded in an organization, that sets the culture there. So criticism, early criticism, not criticism. Criticism is not a bad thing. Early criticism is punished. Early judgment is punished. You judge whether an idea is good or bad later. And by that time, it's the team's idea. It's not the individual's idea. So thank you, Kala, for sharing. Very important.
And as you said, mentioned in a company, 3M, right? They are giving space and time for this creativity, all these things.
Passion, yeah.
So, yes, that should also. And the employees, they need a recognition and a reward for their creative ideas also to be encouraged.
Right. Thank you, Swali. That's really, really important. The for employees having their time and support to follow their own creative pursuits and passion. Just one addition there from about the reward. Reward can be a hindrance to creativity and other productive qualities as well, if it's not done in the right way. So the thing is to compensate the employee really well for them to have a really good package. And sometimes what happens is, imagine that when we are discussing something here, or the facilitator is coming up with some questions, and the participants are sharing something, and the facilitator is saying that, for example, to Swali, oh, Swali, very good answer. You said that is a very good response, but I'm not. Maybe because you actually gave a very good response, but then I'm not saying that to somebody else. it may be in to some extent it may encourage that kind of good performance in the employees. But the thing is that in an environment where people are just motivated by the work they do, you can actually remove the reward, the extra reward that you do for good work also. But it can be really difficult because we live in a culture where we see reward as a good thing. But the thing is that instead of reward, because reward also kind of creates a different. Sometimes it also creates an unhealthy competition. So we can discuss that in a different session, I guess. So it's a nuanced area, but in most situations, it's seen as a better alternative to punishment. You don't give punishment, you give reward for the good behavior. It is better compared to giving punishment in that sense. But there is some nuance to it. We'll discuss it in another session. Yeah, thank you all for sharing your thoughts and your ideas. So Kamaru, I guess we can wind it up there.
Yes. So thank you all. You can share your feedback, thoughts in the groups also. So thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. We hope you found the session engaging and insightful. You were very active, so that's why it was very interactive also. So if you would like to explore how we can support your growth, feel free to contact us. Contact me or Vineeth for a free discovery call. This call doesn't mean that you don't want to purchase anything. You can freely you can contact us and schedule a free discovery call. Then we are also open for collaborations for training programs and are ready to assist with any training requirements you may have. Let's create a meaningful learning experience together. Then we are excited to we'll be conducting more and more programs in coming days, and next program will be on experiential learning. Why experiential learning is the future of corporate training. That will be the topic. I will be handling the session, and the recordings of the previous sessions will be available on YouTube. And if you miss any sessions, or if you miss today's sessions also, we will be uploading this on YouTube. So thank you once again for joining us, and we look forward to connecting with you all and in our upcoming webinars. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much, and good night. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the wonderful session.
Thank you, Vineeth, and thank you, Kamru.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good night. See you all. See you next time. Thank you.